Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like a chance to win the digital code to Shazam Fury of the Gods for when I unbox this movie, join the conversation in the comments below of this video, as I will be giving my thoughts on the Flash movie, what I thought of it, why I think it's bombing, I'm just gonna talk Flash, and yeah, so go to the comments, comment your thoughts on the Flash movie, the DCU, the future of the universe with James Gunn's DCU, anything that pertains to the DC universe. Join the conversation, give your thoughts on the video, whatever. Just share. Talk. So yeah, and then I will pick a bunch of names. I don't know how many people will come in. If it's just two people, I'll take two people and spin a wheel with your names. If there's 10 people, I'll put 10 people and spin your names on the wheel. And the winner of that will give the code for Shazam Fury of the Gods. So, Shazam aside, let's talk Flash. I'm just gonna jump right on it. The Flash, Ezra Miller, Flash 2023, not to be confused with the Flash TV show. I thought it was really good. I actually really quite enjoyed it. Actually, there's a lot of debate out there with some people saying the movie's awesome, movie's great, movie's fucking great, excellent. And I seen some people, this movie's trash, it's fucking garbage, what a piece of shit. It's funny to see because I feel like people just, the DC fandom is absolutely the most toxic, broken fandom I have ever seen in my fucking life. I'm being serious. They are the worst. They can never agree on anything. We can never agree on anything. You don't see this with the Marvel Universe, right? People go, yeah, this is awesome. Everybody says this is awesome. This fucking sucks. Everybody says this fucking sucks. It's gonna grow. The DC Universe, it's just so broken with, I want Zack Snyder, I want James Gunn, I don't want neither of these two guys. This movie was awesome. Man of Steel is awesome. BBS is bullshit. Suicide Squad, it's great. Like, so many people are just so all over the place with this universe, and the Flash movie is no different. I'm not gonna listen to those people or any of those sides. I'm just gonna, what you're getting here is my opinion only. What I thought about it, and what I thought about it was that the movie was good. I would even say great. Was it perfect? No. Was I let down by certain things? Yes. But overall, did I walk out satisfied with the Flash movie? Yes. And I'm gonna be straight with you. Ezra Miller bullshit, choking women, bars, grooming children, everything going on with that dude. I'm not gonna talk about any of that. We have to separate the actor's bullshit and the movie. We cannot sit here and say this movie sucks because it stars Esther Miller. My son's toys. Yeah, we gotta separate that because we can't let that affect our thoughts on the movie because extra stuff in real life played nothing into this movie. It doesn't matter for the universe, for the movie itself. That's a whole other discussion. So you will not see me use Ezra's real life things as an excuse to shit on this movie. Just want to clarify that. So, what are some of the things I liked? Well, Ezra Miller. I thought Ezra Miller was really good in this movie as the Flash. He honestly was funny. Yeah, he was entertaining. He had a lot of heart in this movie. Some I am speaking spoilers, by the way, spoilers in this conversation. Some of the scenes between him and his mom, like I felt the emotions and the heart. And honestly, it just when it comes to this movie, he was really good in this fucking movie. I honestly think Ezra Miller is a highlight of the movie, which is why I think so many people are like bashing him on this movie for his real life things. But again, two separate things. He was good. I liked him as Barry Allen. I liked him as Barry Allen in Justice League. More specifically, Zack Snyder's Justice League because he had a lot more to do there. Uh, I feel like he's a really good Flash. So he's definitely a highlight. We all knew they were kind of using Flashpoint as inspiration for this movie. So, as an excuse to go back in time, change the timeline, have fun. And that should be fun. And it is fun. The interactions between him and the younger Ezra Miller, the younger Barry Allen, are some of the funny stuff. Really entertaining, really goofy, really out there. Quite entertaining. I really laughed my ass off in quite a few scenes in this movie. And there were certain scenes that were also cringy in this movie. I'm gonna give you an example. So let's go one thing at a time, right? Let's go one thing at a time here. I have to get my soda. Um, First things first. I thought the opening of the movie itself was really good. Why did I think it was really good? First of all, it's funny, it's entertaining, it's got jokes, which you should, right? Flash is a funny character. It should not be dark and gloom with Flash. So that was good. The opening, which included Ben Affleck's return as Batman, great. I just love Ben Affleck as Batman. It was just so great to see him. And this is truly the last time, which, from the looks of it, it is. Um, at least he had a great opening sequence, honestly. It was just so awesome, dude. Ben Affleck just he is Batman. Like he to me, I love Christian Bale. I love Michael Keaton. I love Kevin Conroy. I love all these dudes. I thought Robert Pattinson was a great Batman, but man, there's just something about Ben Affleck's take on this character that just is awesome. And for the little bit that he's in here, it's awesome. I just wish there was more. But yeah, the opening with Ben Affleck's Batman and Alfred, it was so good to see Jeremy Irons as Alfred again. We knew Ben Affleck was in it. Didn't expect Alfred to be in this movie, honestly. Didn't even really think about it. Like, when I seen Jeremy Irons as Alfred, I'm like, oh shit, we get to say goodbye to you too. So, he was good to see again. So, so in the very opening, in the very, not for opening necessarily, but in the first, like, sequence, major sequence of Flash is helping Batman out with a crime that's going on because everybody else is busy. Superman's taking care of a volcano, which again, Henry Cavill Superman shows up without a face. You see the back of his head. He's dealing with a volcano. Um, Wonder Woman, I forgot why she's not in it. There was a reason why nobody was there, and it was just Barry. He needed Barry. Wonder Woman was doing something. Everybody was doing their own thing. So Barry goes and helps out, and he's stopping buildings fucking falling. All that. That's the weird scene though. A bunch of babies are falling out the building, and first of all, the CGI on the babies was horrible, 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 horrible. It was a really cringy scene too. Like the babies are falling from the top of the building as the building is collapsing, and Barry can't touch them because of his powers. So he's got to find ways to get them without touching them himself. And it includes putting a kid in a microwave. Now, I've seen some people, oh my god, he put a kid in a microwave. Oh, that is just fucking disturbing. I don't really give a shit about that. It's a fucking movie. I don't. Yeah, would you put an actual child in a microwave in real life? Absolutely not. Only a fucking idiot would think you would even do that. So my issue isn't even like the microwave scene itself. It's just the idea of the babies falling and him catching the babies. Like the scene was just so weird, especially because the CGI was so weird. Like it's like they were competing with this fucking CGI baby from Twilight Breaking Dawn Part Two. Who has the worst baby? It was horrible. Like some of the CGI in this movie, this hideous. There are some really good special effects, and there are some really shitty special effects. Makes you wonder if it's even the same movie. Um, but yeah, so that scene was really weird, and we after the great opening with Batman and all that, that scene was just so weird. And then he helps out Batman stop the criminals and all that. Overall, I feel like baby stuff aside, I feel like the first opening was really good, really solid, funny, action, and Ben Affleck riding the bike was awesome. And we had a cameo by Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I knew Gal Gadot was in this movie because they made a Funko Pop of her for the Flash movie. So obviously she was still in the movie. Which her cameo in the movie, funny enough, she has a cameo in this movie, right? And she had a cameo in Shazam. She had two cameos this year as Wonder Woman. Um, so that it was so cool to see, and the scene where she appears and when she appears in that cameo was really funny. One of the funniest scenes because they kind of borrowed a scene from Justice League, Joss Whedon's, when Aquaman's sitting on the lasso and he just starts mumbling the truth of how he feels. It was a similar scene because Wonder Woman has to save Ben Affleck's Batman with the rope, and he starts talking his truth about how he won't say thank you and all that stuff. Barry accidentally holds the rope, starts talking about not having sex and all that. Like the scene itself with Wonder Woman, that cameo, hilarious. I was laughing my ass off. So that stuff was great. Then Barry accidentally travels back in time and he talks to Ben Affleck's Batman about it. He's like, you shouldn't do it. And he even talks about, yeah, I could bring him back. I could even bring your parents back, which was nice to see that scene. But Batman knows you still shouldn't because at the cost of what? Blah, blah, blah. And then Barry does what Barry's gonna do. He still goes back in time to save his mom. Which, if you read comics and if you watch the CW show, which I for sure finished the whole thing, funny enough, right before I watched this movie, yeah, you've seen this stuff before, and it was just it's stuff that if you're a Flash fan, again, if you watch the show, you've seen this before, but it still played out kind of differently. That I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the Barry interactions and the other Barry having to learn the powers because the current Barry lost the powers. Some of that stuff was really funny. One of the things I really loved about this movie, I loved, was how I used Man of Steel. I've said this before, I'll say it again, and I will die where I stand. Man of Steel is the best Superman movie. The well, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, one of the greatest superhero movies ever. I love Man of Steel. If you know me, you know since day one, I've loved Man of Steel. That movie is awesome, which I rewatched right before I watched The Flash, because The Flash uses Man of Steel in many ways, right? If you've seen the trailers, you know General Zod's in this, and they reference Man of Steel events with the machine that transforms the Earth and all that from Zod. So that's an aspect of the movie I really love. I loved how it revisited Man of Steel, how it brought back Michael Shannon as Zod, how it had Feora, and I loved it. I loved how they mentioned that Barry was in Metropolis when Superman fought Zod, which is awesome. Again, because it calls back to Man of Steel, but because we also know Ben Affleck was out there as well from BVS. We know that he was in there. So both Batman and the Flash were in there while Superman fought Zod, which to me is actually really cool when you really think about it. Because when you rewatch Man of Steel, it's like, man, somewhere in there, it's Batman and the Flash. So I thought that was cool. So yeah, I thought everything they did with the Man of Steel ass stuff was great. There was some different stuff because in this new timeline, which Barry goes back in time to save his mom, and he's going back to the present, he gets pushed out of time by the Dark Flash, which is a whole other discussion. So he gets pushed out of time by the Dark Flash and ends up in this timeline, which everything I mentioned, he helps the other Barry get his powers, where he loses his powers. So in this timeline, there are no metahumans. There is no Cyborg. There is no Wonder Woman. There is no Aquaman. There is no Superman. And yes, General Zod is asking for a Kryptonian. They play the same clip they played in Man of Steel. Like that was cool. And it turns out that there is no Superman here. They think there's a Superman, and they go to rescue the Superman, but it's not Superman. It's actually Supergirl. So let's speak about Supergirl. I thought she was great. I really I wish there was more of Supergirl in this movie because the little bit that we got, I thought was great. I really like Sasha Kaye, I think is her name. I thought she looked great in the suit. Yes, it's not your typical Supergirl. She doesn't have the skirt. She doesn't have the blonde hair. I get that. But the little bit she got to do here, I thought she was great. And if she plays Supergirl in the James Gunn Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie, I'm down for it. I think she was great. So yeah, that was really good. I just thought her suit was great. So when they rescue her, they realize, oh, it's not Kal El, it's not Superman. So they, yeah, she has a really good. Again, CGI is not the best at times, but I quite enjoyed the scene of her stopping soldiers and all that, just trashing them all after she gets her power back from the sun. I thought she was a standout of the movie. I quite really enjoyed it. I hope she plays Supergirl again. I really did. I actually really did like her. Let's see. Yeah, her fight was I was like was pretty cool. Not as epic as Superman's fight with Zod in Man of Steel, but I thought the fight itself was pretty cool. Yeah, I just thought she was cool. And when she screams, there's a scene when she's fighting General Zod, and this timeline, the codex was put on her, not Kal-El. They didn't know that, and apparently Zod killed Kal-El as he was still an infant. So, an excuse for Henry Cavill not to be in here. Fuckers. That's the one thing I would never forgive them for. What they did to my boy Henry like that. So yeah, so when he's like that, when General Zod says that he killed Superman, that he killed Kal-El, she just does a scream and her heat vision comes out, and the scene was dope. The scene was dope. So I thought she was great. Another aspect of the movie that I thought was awesome was Michael Keaton as Batman, man. Michael Keaton as Batman all these years later after Batman and Batman Returns, two of the best Batman movies out there in live action. One of the best live action Batman, out to a lot of people, still their favorite. Um, Man, he just nailed it, role still. He still got it. He just the director, the fighting scenes with Batman, with Michael Keaton's Batman, are so dope. The director was hired to direct Batman Brave and the Bold from the James Gunn for the James Gunn universe. And when you watch the Batman scenes in this movie, you know why. Like the Batman scenes in this movie were dope. Like they were really dope. Obviously, they use stunt doubles and stuff like that. I know Michael Keaton. Well, shit. I know Michael Keaton at 7 years old ain't actually doing all these stunts. Again, but that's just the side of real, being realistic in the movie. Just the scenes were just so dope, and the way he's portrayed is just a badass, man. Even it pisses me off that we're not gonna get no more with him because originally he was supposed to be in that Batgirl movie, but that got canned. Just Michael Keaton in this movie was just so great to see in the suit, play that role again after all these years, right? Because he chose not to do Batman Forever. It was just so great to see. Michael Keaton just he was funny too. Like he was funny. Uh, there's a scene where when they get captured, when they rescue Kara, because Batman was there to help them rescue Kal-El, Superman, but it ended up being Kara. Um, Flash is like, Batman, what do we do? And he's just like, we try not to die. Like that shit was funny. Like there are some quite funny moments here with Michael Keaton. Like Michael Keaton just was such a standout, honestly, in this fucking movie. Like I just want more. And the fact we need to get a Batman Beyond movie with Michael Keaton. That's all I'm saying. He just honestly just such a highlight for me. And if he doesn't come back again, it's a shame. But at least he had one last hurrah. And the reason I say if he doesn't come back is because the thing is, in this timeline, right? With there's no metahumans and there's only Kara, there's no Wonder Woman, nothing like that. We see Batman and Supergirl lose and die. Kara gets killed by Zod. Batman dies in different ways. Um, So yeah, and it turns out that it's a no matter how many times Barry tried to go back in time, because the first time Batman and Kara died, Barry goes back in time before that happens to change what happened, and he does, but they still die, and he goes back and they still die. He goes back and they still die. Eventually, he realizes nothing here is gonna fix. Nothing's gonna change. This just is a fixed point where the result will always be the same. General Zod is always going to win. I thought that was a pretty good twist. I didn't see that coming. But the other Barry from that actual timeline insists in going back and going back and going back. And he just keeps going back non-stop. Then eventually we see the him set the Reverse Flash, the Dark Flash again, and it. Let me turn this off. And it is revealed the Dark Flash is the Barry of that current timeline, which is why he pushed the other Barry in there so he could start the cycle in which they're currently in. That was a little convoluted, And I didn't necessarily mind it though. My issue with the Dark Flash is that he does nothing. He does absolutely nothing. In that same scene, he starts monologuing and explaining everything of why he did what he did and whatnot. And when he's going to kill Barry, current timeline Barry, him, the Dark Flash in his early years, gets in the way. So Dark Flash technically kills himself and he's gone. Like there was no battle or fight between Dark Flash and the Flash. Like that to me was a major letdown. That's one of the points of the movie where to me it just something that could have been better. Something that did let me down. There's no fight, actual fight with Dark Flash. One of the best things about the Flash TV show is the Speedster versus Speedster battles. Again, but that being a show, obviously the budget wasn't always there for that. They had the budget. Well, at least I think they did. Yeah, with those special effects, who knows if they even did? But they had the opportunity to create this epic speedster versus speedster battle in the movie, and they didn't give it to us. They didn't. It's not even a fight. That just fucking frustrated me beyond understanding. I'm like, what? Like what? No fight. They didn't even fight. Again, he monologues, explains everything, is going to go attack Barry. Other Barry gets in the way, so Dark Flash killed the other Barry, which is himself, so he just disappears. I was like, the big bad of the movie goes out without a fight. Because he is technically the final guy. It's not even General Zod. Again, I loved all the stuff they did with Man of Steel, the callbacks to Man of Steel, and it makes sense to end everything where it started, right? Man of Steel started it with General Zod and all this, and it makes sense to me this being essentially the end of the DCU because Blue Beetle is part of the new DC universe. We don't really know what's going on with Aquaman, whether it's going to be part of the new universe or not. Um, it just so I liked how they did the callback, but man, there was no final boss essentially when you look at it here. That was such a letdown, such a fucking letdown. So that's one issue I have with the movie, Dark Flash, and that was a major letdown. Another thing about this movie that also just let me down. If you watch the CW show, if you read comics, you know the answer. But the movie in this movie universe, it doesn't make sense that Barry doesn't even try to find out. Because the whole thing about this movie is Barry going back in time to save his mom. Eventually, he realizes that she has to die. It has to happen. He cannot stop it. By the way, I know I'm skipping over a part. I'm trying to leave the biggest thing for the end. Eventually, he realizes his mom has to die, and there is this beautiful scene which breaks my heart. I was pretty much in tears of him talking to his mom and hugging her and all that in tears, saying his goodbyes in a way that she doesn't know it's him, but that just broke my heart. But that's the thing. That's good. He understood what he had till his mom died and whatnot. What frustrated me though is the idea of him going back in time was to save his parents, not just his mom, his parents, because his dad went to jail for the murder of his mom when he was innocent because he was at the store at the time his mom got killed. Um, but the movie never tells you who killed Nora. Barry doesn't even question who killed Nora. And the fact that he went back in time, he didn't even have to intervene. So you wouldn't be changing the timeline. But at least go look and see who killed your mom. So in the present, you could deal or look for this person that you saw kill your mom. The movie just glosses over that. You see Nora in the kitchen stabbed with a knife, when they show the scene of her dying but you don't know who kills her. Again, if you watch a CW show, if you read comics, you know it's Reverse Flash. Which maybe they didn't because they don't want to pack the movie with too much things. But that would have the Reverse Flash being a villain in the movie would have been way better than what we got with Dark Flash, which wasn't even a fucking fight. So yeah, the movie doesn't even tell you. That's the thing. Barry doesn't even try to think about that or wonder about it. Okay, man, I can't save her, but I can see who killed her. And Barry still changed the timeline because while his dad was at the store, because earlier in the movie, they find footage of him being at the store, but they don't see his face. So it cannot be used as evidence to say that was him. So he changes the timeline anyway because he puts the tomatoes from the bottom to the top. That way his dad would have to go up and be in the camera and be saving trial. So he does save his dad, and you can't save your mom. But why couldn't you at least find out who killed your mom? That just really, really annoyed me. And it's such an important detail that the movie ignored. That also is a negative to me. So, so we've established Dark Flash was a negative for me. It not answering, showing, or at least implying that Barry wants to find out who killed his mom is also a negative for me. Because it's just a bit, just, like right there, like seriously, dude. So the biggest thing, right, in the movie, the biggest surprise was when Dark Flash died and the fucking of going back in time, worlds and timelines just start clashing and just being destroyed, opening portals, destruction everywhere, and that's where we get our cameos. What should have been the coolest, dopest part of the movie ended up being so cringy, so bad, so such a letdown. Especially because it's been done better. So we see all these worlds and universes colliding and like I said, just being destroyed due to the events of Barry altering the timeline, which includes a cameo from Christopher Reeve. It was her name Helen Slater, a Supergirl from the 80s, and two of them together, which should be a big deal because that's never happened before. We've never seen them together before because Christopher Reeve refused to be in that movie. So the idea of them being together on screen for the first time should be dope, and I would be applauding it if it would have been done right. Because what we got was a fucking horrible CGI Christopher Reeve Superman and the CGI was so bad in this scene, in these cameo galores. It was horrible. And the director explaining that it was done intentional because that's how the Flash used to. Shut up. I do not buy that whatsoever. We had an Adam West uh, cameo as well. We had a Jay Garrick a cameo, which seemed like to be by the guy who played Zoom in the Flash TV show. We had a Nicolas Cage cameo, which is probably the best cameo that they got. Because if you know the story of Superman Lives, the movie of Superman that was never made, that was actually quite brilliant that it was done. But again, the CGI was so bad in that whole scene. I'm like, what the hell? What is this? The cameos was just such. Not only were like the idea was great, but the execution was horrible. And the reason that it really there's two things about that whole scene that really anger me, and I don't even know which one I should talk about first. I'm gonna talk about why. Okay, the example of it being done better. This idea has been done by DC twice before, showing us different timelines and universes and cameos. The Arrowverse did this with Crisis on Infinite Earth, and they didn't use CGI for their cameos. They actually had the actual actors and actual scenes and using archive footage of shows to show you these things. We didn't get Swamp Thing in the Arrowverse Crisis Infinite. We got CGI. No, they use archive footage from the Swamp Thing show. Archive footage from Doom Patrol. Archive footage from Titans. They got the actor who played Robin in the Adam West universe to film a new scene. They had the actual scene with the girl from the Birds of Prey TV show. Like they had Ezra Miller actually film a scene with Grant Gustin, all using filming new scenes or using archive footage, no CGI whatsoever, and it delivered and it was awesome. But yet here they just go CGI. Like, you couldn't use archive footage of Christopher Reeve and Supergirl. You couldn't use archive footage for the Adam West stuff. Like, it really pissed me off because the same day I watched The Flash, when I got home, I was watching Titans because I'm a little behind. So I'm finishing the final season, and then I see the episode 2. Where's my Gar? And it's the same thing. It is Gar looking up through the multiverse, through the red, and you see all these cameos galore. Again, archive footage was used of Teen Titans Go. They had a Stargirl cameo where they actually filmed the scene. They had a Shazam cameo using Shazam footage from the Shazam movie. You know, it was so awesome and it was so great and such fantastically done. But yet, in the big budgeted movie, they thought it was better to just create anybody with CGI instead of using archive footage. They had the black and white, George Reeves Superman. Like, everybody CGI, CGI, CGI. That's why it pissed me off, because we have two TV shows that did it better than a high budget, over $200 million budget movie. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that was just one thing that just blew my mind. Again, something that should have been so great, so awesome, ended up being so disappointment because DC themselves have done it better with their shows. And that was reason number one. Reason number two, of all the cameos they could have done, they did. And of all the fucking cameos, the one cameo they needed in this movie, the one cameo I needed, the one cameo that deserved to be in the movie, no matter what, was not in it. Grant Gustin as the Flash. Grant Gustin as the Flash. That's the cameo that should have been in this movie. The guy that played the Flash for like 10 years. Did we forget that Ezra Miller showed up on the Arrowverse Crisis on Infinite Earth, and the two of them met? And it was through Grant Gustin's Flash that Ezra Miller's Flash learned the name The Flash, because he didn't go by Flash yet. He does in this movie. I wonder where he got that name from. No Grant Gustin cameo, no reference to his meeting with Ezra Miller, with Grant Gustin's Flash, nothing. No. And I've seen the director like a month ago talk about how they had to make decisions on what could be in it and what shouldn't, and they chose not to go with Grant Gustin's Flash. That is the one fucking cameo you need in this fucking movie. Build on that Arrowverse event that the two of them met. Build on that. I remember being so excited when I saw the cameo. Everybody, the internet exploded. Oh my god, the two of them meeting. And we all assumed that man Grant Gustin must be in the Flash movie. This is the beautiful thing. It's wonderful because this is all DC. This is all Warner Brothers. The TV shows acknowledge the DCU, with Ezra Miller showing up with meeting Grant Gustin's Flash, and Titans having a cameo through archive footage of Shazam. Yet the movies couldn't do the same. The movies cannot acknowledge the shows. As much as I love the DCEU, as excited as I am about the DCU, the Arrowverse did the whole universe thing way better. And the fact that the movie couldn't acknowledge Grant Gustin's Flash, at least a fucking 5-second cameo, or have him be a part of the movie, like a big part of the movie, the same way No Way Home had Toby, Andrew, and Tom all together. Imagine that, a movie where Grant Gustin and Ezra Miller, both of them in the movie, both of them team up. Instead of having two Ezra Millers running around, you could have had Grant Gustin. It could have been that he swapped the timeline and now he's a different person, looking different. Like something like that. Like ignoring Grant Gustin's Flash, to me, it's a fucking crime, and I cannot forgive that. I cannot forgive that. So yeah, overall, those are my thoughts on The Flash. I thought it was funny. I thought it had great action. I thought Ezra Miller was great. I thought it had heart. I really loved Michael Keaton. I thought Supergirl was great. There was so many good things about this movie. So many great things. I would say the movie itself was great. I feel the positives outweigh the negative. But at the same time, it also keeps it down because the Dark Flash's disappointment. No, we didn't get a final fight. It doesn't even tell you who killed Nora. It's just Barry doesn't even think about who. No, let me check who killed my mom. And then the horrible CGI fest of cameos keep it down from being as perfect as the movie could have been. And then Gal Gadot has a cameo, right? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, let me go back to the movie. So, so Barry, like I said earlier before I started ranting, Barry changed the timeline because he changed the tomatoes up, so his dad looked up and he could be saved from prison because then the footage showed he couldn't have killed his mom. Court is over. Barry's going out. Call from Bruce Wayne. He's talking to Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne shows up. It's not Michael Keaton, and it ain't Ben Affleck. The biggest what the fuck happened, and it was George freaking Clooney. The man, the worst live action Batman ever, was in this movie as Bruce Wayne. I'm assuming this was just for shits and giggles. But that's my other problem with the movie. Did this movie even matter? I mean, James Gunn said months ago, back in January, that the Flash movie would reset the universe. That it would reset the universe into, well, what's to come. But did it really? Yeah, there is definitely a reset and a reboot here. But by now establishing this Bruce Wayne, does that mean he's gonna have some part to play in, say, Batman Brave and the Bold? Or are you gonna tell me that Barry fixed the timeline again? That's no longer because that begs the question: then did the movie really reboot anything? Did the movie really change anything? I don't think it did. I don't think it did. Which begs the question: did this movie even matter? As great as I thought the movie was, because it was really, really good, did the movie really, really matter? No, it doesn't feel like it did. See, if I would have done this movie, if I would have done this movie, if I would have been the director, and I know, yeah, we have to, where it's getting rebooted, none of this is gonna matter soon because we're gonna have a new universe. I would have had the Flash as he's traveling back in time, and fixing everything. I would have had a scene showing the DCU being erased, the events of Man of Steel being not canon, the events of BVS, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman 1984, all these. I would have had a scene of like him running around, running, and those events just being erased as he races to the new timeline. Right? Like that's how I would have done it. A proper way to reset the universe, showing you visually that the universe that we have right now is ending because we're going to a new one. I would have shown you a visual of that. They could have, they didn't. So after the movie ends with the Bruce Wayne thing, again, I'm assuming it's for shits and giggles, but who knows? Was the cameo good? It was. I did not expect it. I had to laugh. I was like, what the hell? Was my reaction. And then the movie ended there. So there is one post-credit scene, and it's with Jason Momoa. I'm assuming this was done because Aquaman 2 is still coming out. So then that begs the question: if this is really the reboot, reset, does that mean Jason Momoa will continue to play Aquaman this universe? I'm okay with it. I love Jason Momoa. I think he was great as Aquaman. I wouldn't be against seeing him again. So yeah, Barry's telling him about all the Batmans. How every time he travels back in time or whatever, it's a different Batman. Jason Momoa seems to stay the same as Aquaman. Was the scene funny? Yes. Was it entertaining? Yes. Was it a bit of a waste of time? Yes. Considering the movie that this is and what it was supposed to do, I feel like the post credit scene could have been something way more intense, way more awesome, way more like, yeah, okay, holy shit, here comes the new universe. Like the post credit scene should have been that, like showing you the new universe being created or something. Why Henry Cavill would no longer be Superman or and stuff like that. So like that's what should have been the post credit scene, but whatever. That brings me to problem. My other thing that frustrates me about the movie is no Henry Cavill. Gal Gadot had a cameo. Jason Momoa had a cameo. Henry Cavill, let's see, ugly looking CGI Henry Cavill was in the movie, and a faceless Superman. That was Henry Cavill's cameo in the movie. Wow. I mean, if Ben Affleck was gonna get to at least be here one last time, why couldn't you have Henry Cavill at least in one scene, like actual Henry Cavill? They did film a scene. Apparently, there was three different endings for this movie. Ending one having ended with Sasha Kai as Supergirl and Michael Keaton's Batman. I'm assuming that's the ending that would have led to Batgirl because Michael Keaton was in Batgirl, and then that got scrapped and it was changed to include Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot, which great. That's when Henry came back for the Black Adam thing, and then James Gunn took over and he's crapped that and then put the George Clooney thing. So that's why I'm like, if James Gunn and Peter Safran did the whole George Clooney thing, again, that's what I'm wondering. Is this for shits and giggles or is this serious? This movie, the DC had three different regimes during this movie. It's incredible. Three different endings for all three different regimes. That is insane. So overall, I thought the Flash was really good. I thought it was pretty great. I had a lot of fun. I can't wait to watch it again when I already pre-ordered the Steelbook. I think the positives outweigh the negative. Michael Keaton, Supergirl, Ezra Miller was fantastic. The movie has heart, action, it's funny, it has all this great stuff. But it has its flaws, it has its things that piss me off. The CGI ugly fest, the Dark Flash being barely a villain in the movie, how they did Grant Gustin dirty. Like, there's things about the movie that really do piss me off and really quite annoyed me. Uh, But yeah, and I thought Dark Flash looked cool. I thought Dark Flash looked cool, but that's all he did. Look cool. So overall, I'd say this film is anywhere between a 7 and an 8. That's kind of why I like it. 7 or 8, 7 or 8. It's somewhere in there for sure. It's not a 9, at least not to me. It's definitely not a 10, but it definitely was a good movie, possibly a great movie. Yeah, those are my thoughts on the Flash. Now the Flash is also bombing horrible, horrible bomb at the box. A budget of like $200 million, 100 million in marketing. We're talking about 300 million, and the movie hasn't even crossed 200 million yet at the time of this video recording. That is bad, a disaster. Now let's kind of talk about why I think that is. Everybody goes around saying it's because of Ezra Miller and everything he did. Yes, I feel like that definitely played a part. And I've said before, I've told people I feel like they were marketing this movie as kind of a Batman movie to help promote the movie. A lot of teasers were Michael Keaton trailers and all that, and posters put emphasis on Michael Keaton. I feel like because they knew they had to because they couldn't trust the whole Ezra Miller stuff. So yes, did that play a part? Yes, but was that the only thing that played a part? I don't think so. I mean, Shazam: Fear of the Gods was a fucking disaster at the box office. Black Adam was. It's been there's been a debate whether the movie was a bomb or whether it made a little bit of money. A bomb or a disappointment, it did not do good for itself. The Suicide Squad was a gigantic bomb, and people might say, "Oh, but COVID was still kind of a thing." Yeah, yeah, Shang-Chi and Eternals, which are two barely known Marvel properties, who did outperform that a lot better. It did a lot better than the Suicide Squad, which was done by James Gunn. Followed a movie That say what you will about it, won an Academy Award. uh, yeah, so I feel like just DC itself has been in trouble for a while, and I feel like part of the blame here, I feel like part of the problem is that once we knew that James Gunn took over and he announced new plans for the new universe and all that stuff, it created the sense of like, do any of these movies matter? I feel like that because that's the thing. Like, is Gal Gadot gonna keep playing Wonder Woman? We don't fucking know. It doesn't look like she's gonna keep playing Wonder Woman. Yes, she's in this movie. Yes, she was in Shazam. So did that matter? Ben Affleck's no longer gonna be Batman. Henry's out, even though we would just promise Henry and Black Adam. So I feel like them announcing this new universe created this whole thing for us. See, I'm gonna go watch these movies because I'm a DC fan at heart, and I will see whatever they pull out. You know, but a lot of the fans out there are people who just necessarily aren't fans, just like seeing superheroes. Just like if you don't think these movies matter, why would you go see them? Like, I feel like that's definitely a problem. These movies, Shazam, Flash, had for sure. I wonder how Blue Beetle's gonna do. We know Blue Beetle's part of the new universe, so that'll be interesting. But again, also Blue Beetle is not really that popular of a character. Yeah, if you're a DC fan, hardcore DC fan, you probably know who Blue Beetle is. But if you aren't, you probably don't know who Blue Beetle is. And then there's everything with Aquaman 2, which supposed to be test screenings were really negative and they're reshooting, whatever. And then the whole Amber Heard thing also probably, we'll see if that in any way affects the movie. So yeah, I feel like for sure that also play a factor. I don't think it's just Esther Miller. Um, I guess Esther Miller played a part, but Esther Miller was not in Shazam or Black Adam. So where did those movies fail? It could also just be that people are tired. I love the DCU. I enjoyed movies like I love Man of Steel. I love Batman v Superman. Even movies that are hated, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman 1984. Even those movies, I enjoyed. Yet did I love them? No, but I still enjoyed them. Like, I overall really liked this universe, and part of me wanted them to save the universe, not kill the universe. But James Gunn chose to kill it all. But those are just my thoughts on why the movie's bombed. My thoughts on the movie, what I liked, what I didn't like. Overall, I had a good time with The Flash. I just wish certain aspects of it would have been better. The cameo stuff should have been awesome. Should have been great. I'll even applaud the Nicolas Cage one. But again, I would applaud all of them if they would have looked right. Again, even the idea of the Superman, Supergirl from Christopher Reeve, like that was cool. It looked ugly. Anyway, guys, that's been me, Brian Redgrave, talking, discussing, ranting, doing all of it all here. Thoughts on The Flash. Video's quite late. I saw this movie a minute ago already, but I was finding the time to be able to sit down and have this discussion. Um, yeah, a reminder, if you are interested in the digital code of Shazam, Fury of the Gods, comment below your thoughts on this movie. Comment below your thoughts on the DCU, the future, the DCU, anything DC related to this universe, this movie, the Shazam movie, BVS, Man of Steel, whatever you want to talk about DCU wise, comment below, and I will put your name in a spin the wheel and spin your name for a chance to win this code when I unbox this movie. This has been the one, the only Brian Redgrave. Wow, I've ranted for almost 50 minutes. Redgrave, out.